Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. UFC 284 was a historic night, not simply because of the storylines, not simply because of the title fights on hand, but you had arguably the pound-for-pound greatest fighter at the moment in Alexander Volkanovski facing off against Islam Makhachev, the new world beater, Khabib 2.0, all the storylines we already know about that. And in its conclusion, that pound-for-pound conversation is still a little muddled, you know what I mean? It wasn't a dominant decision on either end, but either way, we have a lot to talk about. We have legitimate new contenders, a new interim champion. Listen, the landscape is probably as exciting as it's been in quite some time. But breaking it down with me, as always, is the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself, AJ, brother. Listen, I said it off air. We were a lot more right than we were wrong this weekend, brother. When you have a weekend like this where you almost played Mystic Mac, and you know what I mean? You really hit the nail on the head. I mean, how are you feeling right now?
Derick, it feels good, man. It feels good to be vindicated and know that all the stuff you've been watching for 2 years, 15 years, however long UFC's been going, however long you've been a fan, that this stuff matters, bro. And there's a lot of the things that we were talking about on this show that a lot of the casual fans, a lot of the people that are out there believe in the media, believe in the hype, believe in the storyline that the UFC is pushing. We're kind of talking shit, man, and it was exciting to see that, you know, storylines come true, ups and downs happen, people are tested, there's new storylines being written, man. This is how fight games go, and I'm excited to break it down, man. How you feeling after this weekend, Derick?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Was able to run back in time, catch the fights, see, I mean, like I said, a lot more right than we were wrong, see things kind of play out the way that we anticipated them to a degree, and I'm just really excited because we have some new players in these divisions now, man. Not just in the division, but like that should be ranked in the division. Della, Maddalena, he put it to Randy Brown, man. Just hit him perfectly right underneath the ear, man. Oh, it made him do the chicken dance, man. You never want to do that. You know, we live in the TikTok generation, the highlight reel generation, and he highlight reeled that boy for a 4th consecutive finish in the UFC. Nasty. I love that Modestus Bukauskas was able to make a return back to the UFC, come back and beat a dude who's got a lot of steam behind him in Tyson Pedro, excuse me. That was fantastic. And folks, if you hear my voice a little hoarse, right? I was doing a lot of screaming yesterday. We'll talk about that later, but lots to talk about, AJ, man. So, real quick update, man. I'm not going to show the visual right now. We said it last episode. Get us a couple more subscribers because we're almost to 500. We have broken the 500 mark. Now we are over halfway to our goal for 2023. AJ, tell the people how important it is to subscribe, how it helps us, and simply why they should do it in the first place.
Man, it's kind of undescribable because it really does help out so much. You have no idea that like the impact it does, because each and every single one of you that hits that little subscribe button really does help us. Nonetheless, you know, like keep motivated and stay active and keep doing it, but really are pushing us towards a goal and providing a little bit of happiness and joy in our lives. So it really does mean a lot, especially for me over here, man. Seeing the amount of support coming from all different angles, from people you don't even know, it really does mean a big thing. So every time you're watching the videos, pressing subscribe, sharing with your friends, hitting us on Instagram, hitting us on Twitch, whatever the way you're doing it, it really does make a huge impact. And the fact that we're halfway through through our goal, and we're February, 2 months in, man, it speaks levels. I couldn't be happier. I'm excited, Derick. How you feel about it?
That's right. Well, listen, I'm going to get straight to the point. There's one real reason why y'all should subscribe. We're halfway to the goal that'll help us monetize this podcast. And once we can monetize the podcast, we can give you better resources, better material, better coverage, better everything. Now I'm out here in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. Now I can go out there and we can go hit up the fighters and we can go and do that stuff. But we need a little bit of cheese, baby. You know what time it is. All right, AJ, let's not mince any more words. Let's get straight to the proper recap. Let's get it. All right, my man, we're going to show this real quick. Listen, aside from that draw on the Jimmy Crute, Alonzo Menifield fight, you had yourself a perfect night, my friend. So that is something worth congratulating. And with that being said, got to give it to you. All right, my man, the lone discrepancy on my end was the Parker Porter-Justin Tafa fight. And Justin Tafa is nicknamed Bad Man for a reason. He read Parker Porter like a book, countered him, flatlined him, and danced in front of the Perth crowd, which I thought was amazing. Now, he does not have the most miraculous record in the UFC, man, but this could be the start of a resurgence for Justin Tafa. Do you see high things coming in his future?
Yes, especially of how stoic and how serious Justin Tafa has become, man. This dude, he used to be, like you said, his nickname the Bad Man. This dude is a bad character walking around, but he used to be a little bit more playful, a little bit more jokester. Now, this dude is serious, man. It feels like he's locked in. He was even Bisbing was trying to joke with him and jab with him, and it took a little bit to get him to smile, but this dude is for real, and I think it's foreshadowing how serious Tafa's career is going to be going in the future, man.
100%. We pull this back up really quickly. You will see for the title fights, the fights that mattered, both of us hit it on the nail, right? Islam Makhachev, Yair Rodriguez. We also hit on the Della Maddalena, which was a tough pick, right? Because Rude Boy Randy Brown, we said if there's a guy that can stop this hype train right here, it's him. And had he not got caught with that shot, man, I mean, he was going unanswered, like 20 strikes to 1 or 2 unanswered, man. So it would have been really interesting to see how that played out. Either way, fantastic fight. The moral of the story is 11, 7, and 2 a pop on the board for me and you both, my friend. So I'm just going to show that one last time to go to show. It's 0-0. We're both over the 60% mark in terms of accuracy, which is a good standing to hold. I do not want to drop below that at all this year. So let's keep it on up, man. But let's talk about an area where we still have a lot of room to improve. AJ, props. All right, man. I don't like to see all this red, right? Me and you both respectively. We don't want to see all the red. But if there's one pick that I think that a lot of chastising was going on about in regards to the casual fans, the people who are just like, bro, what are you talking about? Makhachev's gonna come here and smash this guy. You know what I'm saying? I think that we were able to filter out that noise and give the people what they want in terms of money in your pocketbook. You know what I'm saying? So AJ, I will say I'm not a big comment reader. I do like reading the comments and stuff, but when it's like, you know, you post something, a bunch of people are engaging and it's a bunch of nonsense between, they talking shit and all that, I try not to engage too much. There was one comment though that was all like talking about Makhachev, right? And saying more or less, did you just start watching MMA yesterday? You sounded like Stephen A. Smith. However, we hit the money. We hit the nail on the head, baby. Let's go take that to the bank and run with it. How do you feel in a 1 to 2 sentences, because we're going to break all this down in a second, hitting the nail on the head on a controversial pick like that for the Makhachev decision?
Derek, in life, they say kill him with kindness. Sometimes it's better to kill him with some green in the pocketbook when you get the money correct, brother.
That's right. Enough said. All right, man. So those are your props. Those are your bet recap. We're in a good standing thus far. It's only February. We got a lot of fun fights upon us. But let's actually break down these fights. Let's get it.
Have you seen that replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine.
Time for some main card breakdown,
Courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, AJ, we need to get the controversy out of the way. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring up the scorecards. I'm going to bring up the MMA decisions. But before we talk about all of that, eye test. Who won this fight?
Man, scoring wise and how I was doing it versus eye test, Volkanovski won this fight, brother. I had it going into the 5th, 3 rounds to 1 for Islam. And then Volk came back and did something that, in my mind, if that's how it's going down on the streets, that Volkov won that fight. Volkanovski won that fight, man, all day long. He came back and he showed what it takes to be a champion, and I feel like that's what really kind of turned the tide for me, because I had Islam winning. I had Islam controlling it. Yes, having a hard fight, but looking good in the strike, and then Volk comes back in the 4th. What about you, Derek, in the 5th? Excuse me. What do you think?
Listen, man, I'm one of the biggest Volkanovski fans that you can have. I really, this guy earned my respect time and time over. I do not think he won this fight. I don't think it was like tremendously close in terms of scoring criteria, right? You got to think about it like this, man. Islam Makhachev, when he got himself into a bad spot, what did he do? He grappled, he controlled, he took his back. Yeah. Did Alexander Volkanovski get back up to his feet? Yeah, but then he ended up right back down on the ground, right? So it's like, okay, do you get points for defending the thing you're supposed to defend? Generally speaking, no, right? You're supposed to defend the takedown. Here's the thing. I'm going to give you, like, this is the reason why I think Alexander Volkanovski lost this fight, especially. And I think he did it to himself. Every time Islam Makhachev hit Alexander Volkanovski, he reacted and he made a show of it. And what does that do? Not only does that show your opponent, oh, you got me, that shows the judges, oh, yeah, this guy tagged me, right? Every time he hit him with the counter. Okay, all right, that was good, right? He hit him with something, he'd fall back, oh shit, and then he'd get back up to the scramble. When vice versa, besides that 5th round, when Makhachev got dropped, but also was dropping down for that low ankle pick at the same time, that's the only time Makhachev was in any real danger, and that was in the last round. So I'm just going to leave it at that, man. I think Makhachev won this fight. I think it was handedly. I think that when he had Volkanovski's back and Volkanovski was punching him in the head as he has his back, listen, what's more dangerous? Threatening a choke when you have somebody's back 2 hooks in, or little rabbit shots from the back? Come on, what are we saying here? Which is the argument, AJ, here, This is tough because this kind of plays in that Valentina Shevchenko when she fought Taila Santos. She kind of did that same thing, and she was able to get the victory that way. So, long story short, man, I think that this shouldn't be as close as people are making it seem. But correct me, am I wrong here? Am I saying it wrong? Am I too favorites towards Islam Makhachev, even though I'm a huge Volk fan?
No, I don't think you're seeing it wrong from an analytical, from a hardcore, from a normal fight person, person who's involved in the sport. I don't think you're seeing it wrong at all, because I see it the same way. I think Volkov actually did one, or Volkanovski, I keep calling Volkov. Volk won the first round with the big one. There was a lot of exchanges, and I think with the knocking back of Islam and how the pressure was going, for me, I gave him the first round. After that, Islam came back and started winning 2, 3, and 4. I had Islam winning those 3. And it's an interesting one because I was looking on the I'm excited to see what you pull up with the scorecards, because the verdict scorecard is all over the place as well. So I feel like there's a lot of ways you can score this fight. Me personally, 1 to Volk, 2, 3, 4 to Islam. And then the tide started turning. And I think where a lot of people were really swayed, and where I was swayed, is when Volkanovski really started to stuff the takedowns, started making Islam look like he's really kind of a normal fighter. He's getting tagged up. Islam starting to get a big welt on the left side of his face, right? So whatever side it was, get a welt on the side of his face, stopping the takedown, stuffing things. Yeah, technically, like I said, I feel like there's 2 ways to this one. Technically, did Islam win the fight? Yeah, 100%. Like 3-1, 4-1. It's how it goes. In the streets, I would have been, man, like, you need to run this one back. Like, this is a fight where it looks like, given a little bit more time, Volkanovski was going to win this fight. And I see you shaking your head, Derek. I know, dog. But I think that's where a lot of the people are coming through and saying that Volkanovski at least earned a little bit more respect and kind of has a reason to win this fight. And even Islam was saying, he's like, yeah, give him the rematch, man. He deserves it.
I don't think I've ever disagreed with you more ever in the history of us recording this program, bro. Listen, if you gave Volkanovski the first round of this fight, you're the only guy that did that. Nobody else did that. Not one of the judges did that. Nobody. You be the only one. You on an island there, brother, right? I'll say this. What happened on the street, this is the UFC, this is MMA, this is not the street, so it doesn't matter what happens in the streets, right? At the end of the day, Volkanovski gets a lot of moral credit on this loss, right? Because you take the boogeyman and you make him look human. Did we know Volk can do that? I thought Volk can definitely do that, right? That's why I said Islam by decision, right? However, making somebody look human does not mean you won the fight. Making the boogeyman look like a less scary boogeyman does not mean you won the fight, right? Like, at the end of the day, yeah, you outstruck him, little pitter-pat shots, all that good stuff. You reacted more. The damage that happened to Islam's eye literally was in that 5th round of that fight, right? So Islam said it himself. He was like, I watched the fight back, bro. Congratulations. Volkanovski got 1 minute out of 25. Great. You know what I mean? So I'm going to pull these up right now, and then let's talk about it, because I do think I want to see, like, why. I'm wondering, I guess, why there is this discrepancy here. So I'm going to pull this down really quickly, make it a little smaller, right? So you got Volkanovski and Makhachev. Rounds 1, 2, and 3 were given to Makhachev on the Derek Cleary scorecard, which is the kind of crazy one, the 49-46. I don't agree with that one. But 1, 2, and 4 was given by the other 2 judges, David Letheby and Ben Cartledge. So, like I said, brother, you're the only guy that would have been given Alexander Volkanovski the first round of this fight. When it comes down to it, the controversial rounds, I suppose, not really controversial, but it comes down to 3 and 5, right? So, yeah, Volkanovski definitely got the job done on 5. I think he got the job done on 3 right there, man. But you pulling something up? Are you seeing something different? Do you disagree with these? I mean, these are the scorecards.
I was pulling up the verdict, and they had it the same. They actually have 2 going to Volkanovski and 3 going to Islam. That's what I was saying. Yeah. These ones are all over the place. And I didn't rewatch the fight, so it could be another one I'm thinking of one. But on how it went down, definitely 3-1 going into the 5th. And that's where Islam or Volk won the 5th for me. And as always, the 5th round, sometimes you feel like it should matter a little bit more. It doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, Islam did win the fight. Hand gets raised. He gets double the purse. What it is.
Listen, brother, this is the part 2 where I want to just make it definite here, because, like, I get what verdict is saying, and I can get how some people, Volk won the fight, but let's be honest here. Come on, bro. What are we talking about? We're going to do another one of these where Makhachev wins across the fucking board and he gets, like, 5 picks for Volk. But listen, man, the people have spoken. Makhachev won the fight, man. Like, I love the moral victory for Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski, I think his stock does nothing but increase exponentially. And we know for sure now he can handle with the top boys in the lightweight division. We know that. So I do think a move to the upper division will be coming. But let's put a little respect on Islam Makhachev's name, man. He said it post-fight, and this is where I think Makhachev's stock rises as well. He says, guys, like it or not, I am the best fighter in the world right now. Like it or not, it doesn't matter what you like, bro. It doesn't matter that we're in Perth. He went to enemy territory and got a decision over the reigning champion there that hadn't lost in 20-some-odd fights. With that being said, can we take a moment to take a step back and really talk about, like, Islam Makhachev is the real deal, bro. Come on, man. Think about the stipulations. It wasn't in Abu Dhabi. This was in enemy territory and still got the job done on a close, controversial decision. What do you think?
Yeah, no, 100%. And credit to the judges in Perth, in Australia, in enemy territory, because they could have 100% robbed him of this one. And I think a lot of people have been up in arms, but that's how, in other sports, so this is Olympics, this is wherever the case may be, it could happen. So credit to Islam, because I feel like he's not getting enough credit where he deserves for going in to the enemy's back door and saying, I'm coming in, man, try to take the bigger of the crown. If you want it, you can't come grab it. So I think so. And it's weird too, because I see the sentiment you're going for, Derick. Not a lot of people are giving Islam the credit he deserves. He's still living in the Habib shadow. What do you think he needs to do the next step to actually get past that shadow to create one of his own? Does he need to move up to 170? Does he need to just have an undeniable reign? What do you think?
He needs to have an undeniable reign, man. And I'll tell you, he's already separating himself from Habib. He's talking more trash right here, right? He said it. He was like, guys, like it or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What is he doing? What did Volkanovski get him credit for immediately after the fight? He says, I guess he underestimated my wrestling, but I underestimated his striking, because he tagged me with some good stuff right there, right? So Makhachev doesn't panic wrestle, right? He'll sit there and he'll strike with you, and then he'll time his shots perfectly. Time his shots. Strike, 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 time his shots. I'll say this. This is the conversation that needs to be had, and then we can move on. Pound for pound, right? I said it before the fight. A victory against Alexander Volkanovski, unless it's just smash this guy first, second round, submit him, get him out of there, you shouldn't be the pound-for-pound champion, even though Volkanovski was considered to be the pound-for-pound best right there, right? You beat him. Okay, can you go up a weight class, right? And can you defeat the guys there? Because if you can do that, then I think we have some legitimate pound-for-pound relevancy right here. At the end of the day, a lot of people are arguing Volkanovski should not lose his pound-for-pound crown after this loss, especially with how competitive this fight was. You know what I mean? It's not like this was like him getting his ass kicked. It's like, yeah, you lost, but you lost technically as opposed to you got your ass beat. You know what I'm saying? So pound for pound wise, man, is this a silly conversation to have in the first place, or what do you think?
No, I think Volk stays where he is, especially because the rest of the guys in the back in the 155-pound class were getting whooped on, getting finished in the first couple rounds. So you got a smaller dude, quote-unquote smaller dude, that comes up into the weight class. He keeps his pound-for-pound status. It's kind of the reason for it. It's like DJ beats up somebody else a class above him. He's still the pound-for-pound, how it goes.
Yeah, so with that being said, man, this was a fantastic fight. This was the biggest test of Islam Makhachev's career. He said it himself. He says Volkanovski was my toughest opponent, gave me a hard work, but if we want to fight again, I'm ready. Let's go. You know what I mean? So this dude is game. But listen, man, controversy aside, after this, I feel like this was more of a logical conversation. So logical, just being rational. We can stop the nonsense, right? With these people, Volkanovski got robbed. We can stop that, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think so. All right, man. All right, I just wanted to make sure, man. I'm never this hard on, come on, bro. But it's just one of these. I'm seeing it overwhelmingly on social media.
Islam won the fight for sure. I was trying to, devil's advocate for the casuals out there.
I love that. But let's not fuel the flames, the fire here, man. Let's talk about one that both of us kind of hit on the head, but not really. Listen, Yair Rodriguez is a bad man, bro. El Pantera came on and he put it on Josh Emmett. And remember I told you, I said, hey, man, stylistically, he wants to sit there and he wants to answer every rebuttal. But what's the other thing I said? Josh Emmett doesn't really throw a lot. So there wasn't a lot to rebuke right there. You know what I mean? This was just nasty. Liver kicks to the body. Teep kicks set up everything else. Those question mark kicks, spinning wheel kicks. I mean, Josh Emmett at 37 years old, this was probably his window. This was his title window. All he had to do, it's easy, right? Is get the dub here, and then you fight Volk. For either of these guys, after what we just saw, I mean, good luck, right? But at the end of the day, man, Yair Rodriguez has looked better than I think we've ever seen him before. Would you agree?
This is prime, if not getting into his prime, Yair Rodriguez, man. He's you can kind of see he's getting stronger too. He's really tagging with the shots, having a lot of power. And it was rough for Emmett, dude, walking around as basically a punching bag and just zero movement of any sort. His coaches were begging him, please get off the center line, move your head, do anything. And just eating liver kick after liver kick is just a rough one, man. Yair looked amazing out there.
Absolutely, but that's the tough part about Emmett, man, is that he's short. He has it's not a crazy reach disadvantage, but the kicks of Rodriguez make him so much longer, and you have a one path to victory, close the distance, and land those big boxing shots, man, the big hooks, and he did it. He rocked Yair, man, early in the fight, but it goes to show you have to put yourself in danger's way to get there, and when he tried to do it again, all he kept doing is eating a liver kick and then eating a like, that's the thing about Yair is he'll string his shots together. He'll hit you and then he'll punch you at the same time, right? So as he did that, you could see Emmett's his health bar just decrease with every liver shot that was in there. And it actually made me think, man, I was like 37-year-old Josh Emmett. This dude is ripped to the core, bro. Like his abs are just phenomenal. There's no fat there. So why not target that exact area, right? It's like, let's put it on there, bro. The liver has nothing to pad it. You're just getting smacked up on there. The kicks of Yair is nasty, and he used his phenomenal striking to basically bait Josh Emmett into falling into a triangle, locked it up, and called it quits right there, man. So I want to talk about this because both of us thought it was a little ludicrous pre-fight. We said, plus 1,600 for a submission prop for Yair. I know he's a striker, but you know jiu-jitsu is a big part of his game. How did you feel when Yair said after the fight, oh, yeah, I had been training that submission. You know what I mean? We're aiming for that the whole time. I want to get this submission. Like, it's almost like, once again, mystic. Like, we didn't pick that specifically because I thought Emmett would be a tougher outing. But, like, come on. Plus 1,600, brother. Come on. What do you think?
I believe the words were, if you got $10 or $5, whatever it was, throw it on this one because that is a payday all day long for Yair Rodriguez. He even said, he was like, yeah, we practice triangle all day long, but I did remember that one little whatever he was saying about grabbing onto his foot. This dude lives in the moment and he trains so much that he can pull things out of any part like that. Man, it's crazy to think it's plus 1,600 for a professional MMA fighter who's training this stuff day in and day out, who's as meticulous as Yair Rodriguez. You look at this dude striking and how technical he is. You telling me you don't think he's going to also be doing other stuff in the gym? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
So you also remember another one of our conversations was like preliminary to this match. We said like, hey, listen, how meaningful is this fight if Volkanovski wins the lightweight crown, right? And we said, well, honestly, if he wins it, it's probably going to be pretty meaningful. Yair is the guy, right? But he loses, and now he said, what did he say? He says, all you featherweights better watch the fuck out, man. You know, like after me challenging myself like this, y'all have no chance. So let's talk about that, man. We know who the next featherweight championship fight's going to be. It's Yair versus Volkanovski, and Volkanovski has a chip on his shoulder, and he's basically saying, let's get this shit over with, man. You know who's the real champion. Why this shouldn't even be a thing, right? How motivated will Yair Rodriguez be to actually usurp Volk for that crown? And given what you just saw from Volkanovski, do you think he'll be able to do it?
Yeah, I think, he's going to be extra motivated. I mean, ultra motivated for the fact that you're basically holding on to second place. You know, the guy that fought after you, the guy that's getting paid more than you, the guy that's getting pay-per-view points, and you're barely going to be signing a contract for it. You know you're going to be a little motivated to take all that extra. You're getting just a taste, but you know the other guy has more. You always want more. Now, can he get it done? Volk is a very dangerous puzzle, which I feel like is closer to Josh Emmett than a lot of people would give Emmett credit for, but has like to a 10, you know, like he has the movement, he has the IQ, he has the speed, he has the striking, he has multiple different ways in which to get it done. That's a very interesting one. The only thing is, can Volkanovski stop the kicks, stop the range, actually getting close to put his hands on him? I don't know. Because Yair's 5'11" off the top and Volk's 5'6".
I might be shorter than that, the way that everyone's been talking about it, bro. Here, let me pull it up really quickly, because that is a good question. Let's see. Volkanovski.
That's a long reach plus the legs. That's the only thing that worries me about that fight.
Yeah, it says Volkanovski 5'6", 71.5-inch reach, though. So you got the same reach. It's basically Josh Emmett 2.0. The only difference is you remember Josh Emmett, when he got into Yair Rodriguez's guard, what did he do? That phenomenal, you come all the way back with the elbow, so you miss the punches. They can't hit you. Boom, come down with those. And I thought that was nasty, man. But we know that if there's one place that Alexander Volkanovski absolutely thrives in, It's being in your guard, right? And just smashing ground and pound with you. So it'll be interesting. I do see the similarities, but also Alexander Volkanovski, one, never gets tired and throws, quadruple the amount that Josh Emmett does. So that's the thing about a kicker. You have to crowd the kicker in order to take away the kicks. You have to be on the front foot the whole time and be willing to kind of navigate through that danger zone. Josh Emmett did it really good in the beginning, but he ate too many liver kicks and it was game over from there. I think this will be a fun matchup. I think Yair Rodriguez is we said Josh Emmett was coming into his fold. Yair Rodriguez with the style, with the power, with the explosiveness, with the flash. I mean, you're right, man. Those spinning wheel kicks, even though it didn't even connect, you're like, God damn, that was just nice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, all right, man. Big win by Yair Rodriguez. And we'll move on to the next one. Because this is the thing. It's like we're talking about the new star versus the next new star. Because the next guy that we have right here, Della Maddalena, brother. I mean, this is a dangerous guy. And I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna spoil it. This needs to be our rankings review, right? We need to talk about this guy and where does he fit in this rankings, the top 15, because he did to Randy Brown something that not a lot of guys can do. But we need to also talk about the context, right? Because Della Maddalena, he took his time reading. And Randy Brown was just picking at him, poking, doing his thing, being fun, right? Being flowy. Like, it seemed like he almost didn't take him too seriously. Like, all right, bro, I'm going to hit him with the boom, wipe his palms off on his shorts, and then what's up, you know what I mean? And do all that kind of like crazy flashiness. That was a little bit of like a good thing to me, but also I was like, you might be, miscalculating the situation. It literally took Della Maddalena one shot before he jumped on his back and choked him out. So you tell me, AJ, does Della Maddalena have just incredulous power, or is his precision otherworldly?
I think both, Derek, but what impressed me more is the patience. You said power, you said precision. The thing that did it the most is patience. And when reading in that stuff, that's when the power and the precision really came into play, when he read that and saw how Randy Brown was literally rolling out to his right. So he hit him right on the button, right? You said right behind the jaw, made him do the chicken dance, made him do the stinky leg. However old you are, you get the reference. But this is what that is the crazy thing about Della Maddalena, man. He was just calm as a cucumber. He even said it on the broadcast. They were like, it looked like you were waiting for the bus. He was just seeing punches coming, not reacting at all, going, flowing. It was amazing performance, man. I really enjoyed it.
I don't want to compare him to like, I don't know, anybody that I shouldn't be comparing. I don't want to compare him to anybody. But to start off your career in the UFC with 4 first-round finishes, literally, bro, all 3 knockouts, 1 submission. This was your the beginning of your career. I just see trajectory, star power, just him rising. And you think about who he's fought. So Pete Rodriguez, Ramazani Meave, Danny Roberts, Randy Brown. Once you hit that Randy Brown category, we got to really start talking about who are we matching this guy up next with. So I'm not going to spoil it because we're going to talk about the rankings review in a bit, man. So we'll match him up a little bit later. But right now, this dude has been phenomenal. The question for me is because if you look throughout his career, bro, it's all riddled with first round, second round finishes. When it comes down to decisions for him, the man has 1 decision win in his career. Never lost a decision. I mean, this is what's crazy, is because Tapology just like created this new visual system of how they're like displaying knockout submission. Bro, 79% of this man's wins, right? And we're talking about 14 wins. 79% via knockout. Della Maddalena, you're a bad man. You are a bad man. I wish there was more to talk about because it was just so quick. It was literally, he corralled him. He just took that movement. He cornered him off, cut him off perfectly, hit the counter, and then choked him out. And that's the name of the game. It wasn't a club and sub, but it was a drop his ass and submit him real quick. And that's also the thing, too. He wasn't scared to go in for the choke. A lot of guys, they'll just keep following up, trying to ground and pound, right? You might give him an opportunity to get his guard back and get his wits back about him. He said, nope, no air, choke him, done. All right, beautiful. And I mean, we're going to go along a very similar theme here, man. I got to eat my words. Justin Tafa, you indeed are a bad man. I said Parker Porter is the guy to get the job done for this bout matchup. Look at the experience. Look at the wins Tafa has. But if there's one thing that nobody can dare to argue with, it's Justin Tafa's power is incredible, right? So what does Parker Porter do? He does the only thing that he can do against a Tafa who is faster than him, but he doesn't have as much volume as him, right? Parker Porter says, I'm going to come in 3-piece you, right? Da-da-da-da-da, blitz in. Crazy, but a blitz, not like a calculated blitz, like a crazy, I'm going to come in, da-da-da-da-da, right? And he did that the first time, and it worked. He did the second time, so-so. He did that the third time, Tafa said, ding, put him to bed. and then danced on him, which was my favorite part. No disrespect. I just thought that was awesome. In front of Perth crowd, come on, what are we talking about here? If all it takes is one, these are heavyweights. We know that's all it takes, right? But at the end of the day, it's like Justin Tafa. You know when you're in the zone, you know when you're locked in, and you just see things coming, right? And you just kind of like, oh shit, like I'm just doop doop, bing. I felt like that's what it was for Justin Tafa. You said it himself, a little more stoic, a little more locked in. I mean, talk to me about this performance.
Derek, what more could you really say, bro? That bad man showed up and he did what bad men do, and it make you eat a knuckle sandwich when you're rushing in on him trying to be a bully, bro. It was a beautiful performance. I was saying that Justin Tafa has that new speed, that kind of wit about him. He's reading the game, and like you said, Derek, it looked like he was locked in. He was reading things coming. Step back left hand, one of the prettiest counters you can ever hit whenever you're throwing, punches down the pipe, man. It was a beautiful performance for Tafa. Yeah. And I think this is a nice one to get him out of that mix of a lower tier heavyweight, if you will. I feel like this is one that battles him out of that one. Now we're going to get to see him fight more, a higher class of opponent, if you will.
And that's a good and a bad thing, right? Because we've seen him drop the ball against a couple of guys who he might not, maybe he shouldn't have dropped the ball against. But Parker Porter is definitely a feather in the cap, right? That's, a notch in your belt, I guess you could say right there. So, listen, not much to talk about because the fight was over in a minute and a half, right? But I mean, you gotta feel for Parker Porter on this one because you saw as soon as he came to, he was like, God damn, man. He probably felt like he was the better guy that night. And the better guy doesn't always win. I'm not saying that's the case here, but Justin Tafa, you are indeed a bad man, and I eat crow on that one, I have to admit. But now, AJ, actually, this is the one that started off the card, bro. I listen, we need to talk about this. Let's get straight into it, man. Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield. We both had different arguments coming into this fight. Your argument was very much the same as mine, and I said Alonzo Menifield touches you once, and it's bad. It's not good news. They call him atomic for a reason. I said, but look at what Jimmy Crute does to these guys, man. Look at what he did to the Modestas Bukowskises of the world. Look at what he does when he can get in on that blast double. His grappling is phenomenal, right? Like, look at all of that. And I feel like that was the story of this fight. Jimmy Crute came out strong, got dropped terribly, was probably out on his feet for like 2 of those 3 rounds, literally like knocked out, walking just instinct survival mode. But what's the one thing about a high-level grappler who's in survival mode is they can grapple in their sleep, bro. You could be knocked out and still grapple this dude, and that's exactly what he did to Alonzo Menifield. I'm going to pull up the numbers really fast, man, and you tell me, basically, what you think about this. But in the meantime, while I'm getting them pulled up, man, do you think that Alonzo Menifield, and this is just a very off-the-cuff conversation right here. I want just pure opinion and emotional reaction, not logical. Alonzo Menifield's damage to Jimmy Crute versus all of the submission attempts Jimmy Crute put on Alonzo Menifield, the takedowns, being able to control. What matters more in the grand scheme of things?
I would say the damage, because long-term damage speaks a lot more volumes than some dude who tried to choke you out. You can wake up from a choke and be completely fine, but the power that Alonzo Menifield had, and all credit to Jimmy Crute, because like you said, he was out for 2 of 3 of those rounds, if not 2.5. So this dude has some serious dog in him, and good and a bad thing, man, because that's, it's going to be rough. He woke up today with a massive headache, ears ringing, just in pain. Yeah. So, yeah, credit to Jimmy Crute, and on a draw, too. Man, that sucks.
But we need to talk about why. So first, let's talk about these numbers, right? So as the numbers stand, we're looking at Jimmy Crute lands 31 of 62 significant strikes, Alonzo Menifield 56 of 83, but he did knock Jimmy Crute down twice. Not just a knockdown. I feel like there should be an extra category for he knocked that boy down, right? However, look at the takedown. 6 of 12 for Jimmy Crute, 3 submission attempts, and a couple of those, man, were deep, bro. Deep. Like they're saying this fight might be over right here. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's really all I wanted to bring up right there. When it comes down to it, you're looking from a straight numbers perspective. Even from this perspective, yeah, Alonzo Menifield should absolutely win this fight. However, I'm really glad. Let me see. Does it show me who's refereeing this fight? Yes, Mark Goddard. Shout out to you, Mark Goddard, because you did the right thing. Jimmy Crute fighting for his fucking life here, man. He grips around Alonzo Menifield. He's like, I got to take this man down. I have to. He tries to start initiating, and Alonzo Menifield grabs a handful of cage. And what does Mark Goddard do immediately? He grabs him, walks him to the center of the cage, and said, that's a point, bro. You can't do that. I like that. Let's stop this warning nonsense, bro. You stopped that takedown because you grabbed the fence. That's a point. He should have had the dominant position, and maybe he would have choked him out. Who knows? But you lose a point, and you won the first 2 rounds to then getting 10-8'd because you lost the 3rd round because Jimmy Crute grinded you out because somehow this dude woke up from being a zombie in round 3 and just turned back into the regular Jimmy Crute. So you get 10-8'd in round 3, and you lose, or you don't lose. It's a majority draw, but you lost a fight that you should have won. You should have won. In all metrics, you should have won the fight. So first off, let's talk about 2 things. The first thing that I want to mention is that minus 230 for Jimmy Crute. In hindsight now, should this been closer to a pick'em?
Yeah. Maybe still Jimmy Crute is the favorite. 150, still in that range, but a lot closer than minus 230 for sure.
Okay. And then number 2, this was a draw, but you have to think both of these dudes won in their own different respective ways. Alonzo Menifield, there's no doubts any longer, man. Like this dude, yeah, he had a couple little weird ups and downs, right? But at this point now, you're like, this dude can hang. He can hang for all 3 rounds. He got grinded out round 3, man. But if he touches you, man, not everybody is Jimmy Crute that could walk through that stuff. A lot of these guys would have been done, right? And then if you're Jimmy Crute, injuries aside, knee injury, all that, you're back, baby. You are back. Let's clean it up. Let's be a little less reckless. Let's clean up your boxing a little bit, but everything else is on point. So you tell me, man, on both sides, how do you feel about Menifield? How do you feel about Crute?
Yeah, no, I agree with both of those. The one little bit of pushback, Menifield still needs, he can go all 2.5 rounds. That last, maybe even 1.5, because that last little bit, Jimmy Crute really started to come back. And if you want to go all the way, you got to get to 5 rounds. You're telling me Menifield is going to make it past 3? Not a chance right now, man. That dude was gasping for air. And I mean, it comes at I'm trying to think, diminishing returns, all those muscles for all that gas tank he's going to have a long problem. But like you said, a lesser man would have been knocked cold unconscious and waking up back in the room. Jimmy Crute just has an indomitable will and an iron chin, which is also kind of his downfall because now he needs a little bit more head movement. And if he can get that head movement, have the defensive strategy and stay sound in his technique, then we're going to see good things come out of there. So there's a little bit of both that need improvement, but I think both of these guys are serious contenders here in the next 1.5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to pull this up real quick, man, because this just had me a little astonished when I'm looking at it, man. Look at this. So, yeah, you're seeing Crute, you're seeing actually draws, which that's the majority, and I'm really glad that is. But then you get a couple of those people that it's just like, Crute 29-27? In what world? Because he got a couple takedowns?
In the casual world, Derick. And honestly, when I saw the fence grab and the point taken, I put it on Twitter. I was like, that is huge because I can see how somebody would want to rob Menifield of this win. I'm not surprised anymore, man. I am not shocked anymore when things like this happen because that is ludicrous. The fact that somebody thought that Crute won that after losing those first 2 rounds. Yeah, I draw. I get it. He 10-8. Yeah, it's how it goes. And I feel like for grabbing the fence, you lose half your pay. Don't grab the fence, bro. It's a great lesson to learn. Don't cheat. So it kind of all unfolds as it should. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried to rob Menifield of that or that loss.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me because I was watching the fight, rooting for Jimmy Crute because I picked him to win, obviously, and still was just like, all right, bro, you got to find a way to dig this one out, man. Like when I saw that point taken away, I was like, oh, here we go. All right, maybe we could save it. Maybe we could save it with the draw. But there's not one point of that fight where I was all like, oh, yeah, Jimmy Crute's got this in the bag. This dude was a walking zombie for 2 rounds, bro. Like, come on. Shout out to both of these fighters. This was an incredible fight, and this is definitely going to be on my list for fight of the year. One of the fights of the year, for sure. Back and forth, barn burner. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, brother, all right, let's talk about a couple of these prelim fights. We're on some pretty good time right here, so then we'll knock out some ranking stuff, all that, before we jump into the prelims. Of course, folks, if you haven't subscribed yet, I mean, come on, subscribe. You know what time it is. Go rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, actually, or Spotify, whatever your preferred podcast vending source or whatever the case may be. But, brother, there's one fight in particular that I want to talk about, and this was my sleeper, right? And this was a very, very fun fight, I think. The Melsik Bagdasaryan versus Josh Kulabau. Folks, if y'all did not tune into this one, you missed a bloody, fun, scrappy fight, and I think we just showcased again how good Josh Kulabau is, because he was losing that fight. Melsik Bagdasaryan was having his way, more or less, bladed him up, hit him with a nasty spinning back kick to the nuts. First off, bro, I feel for you, brother, because that is not full. if you've never taken a spinning back kick, just like in general, like just to your torso, to your liver or something, that already feels terrible. To your nuts, ooh, all right. However, he made Baghdasaryan make one mistake, brother. One mistake. And all he did, he didn't drop him with a punch. He just made him off balance. And when Kulabau went to go and jump on top, he slid it right underneath the neck. He immediately locked it in, and then Lion Killer made it tight and got him out of there, man. And then hit him with the patented on the fucking, what, cowboy, shoot him up, put him back in the holsters. Let's go. Josh Kulabau, bro. But put some respect on this man's name. I told you, Melsik Baghdasaryan is the guy to watch. And for him to be able to do that to Baghdasaryan, even when he was kind of down in the fight, man, goes to show. You can't sleep on this guy no longer. Put some respect on his name. I made him a sleeper because I respect him that much of that caliber against a fighter like Baghdasaryan. I'm interested to know. I'm already super hyped. You can see clearly I'm super biased towards these guys. But, like, what do you think about that situation?
Woo, give Kulabau year and a half, 2 years. We're gonna be seeing this dude doing some flashy shit in the UFC, man. And same thing for Baghdasaryan. I feel like this isn't a loss on either of these dudes. Sure, it's a loss on one of their records, but it's not a loss going forward in their career because it's gonna propel these guys, man. And I'm excited to see what Kulabau does in the future and who they match him up with because this dude is a killer.
And still, like you said, for Baghdasaryan, man, he was doing everything he wanted to do. And then he just made one mistake. So, yeah, clean it up and then, keep it pushing. Let's talk about Alexander Rodriguez. This is the other guy I told everyone to watch about, the flyweight, man. That is a real problem. Now, this win is marred because, you finished your guy in the first round, but he took like 30% of your purse because you missed weight, right? Not a good way to start your impression off here, especially at 125 pounds. But this man put it on Shannon Ross quick. A hometown favorite, put it on him quick and early. Kicks and punches, man. Just overwhelmed him and got him out of there. There was nothing else to say. This was a 59-second victory. What do you make of it?
Less than a minute, man. That's a nice payday, even though you got 30% taxes. I mean, he's basically, a little worse than us because he is getting all their taxes too, man.
Yeah.
But that was a great performance. Excited to see maybe move up a class. We'll see if he makes weight next time. But, man, Rodriguez going to be a force to reckon with. At 125, too, man. The speed and the power this dude has is crazy.
That's right. My man, Jamie Mullarkey. He finally got the dub, bro. He got the dub, and he got it against an undefeated fighter in Francisco Prado. But I'll tell you, I was very, very concerned with 30 seconds left in the fight when Prado started reaching out on a Kimura, and I said, oh, my God, no. Survive, bro, survive. And he edged out that decision. Mullarkey was too much, man. Overall, too much experience, better mixed martial artist in totality, stringing everything together, all the arts together. But Prado was game, and I think this guy's going to be good. What'd you make of that fight?
Yeah, man. I mean, Prado was more game than I was expecting, so massive credit to him. But I'm glad to see Jamie Mullarkey finally getting the dub, man. Finally getting his way.
That's right.
Sometimes you just need that one slump buster to get you going. So we'll see how Jamie Mullarkey goes in the future. But like I said, credit to Prado. You step in against a big dog, and you actually take him the distance. Very good for him.
That's right. Now, that's not Jamie Mullarkey. That's Mullarkey. Let's go, baby. Come on. Listen, man, we had a little bit of a tiff back and forth. I said, hey, man, listen, this Jack Jenkins guy is really good. I don't think Don Chanis has what it takes to win this matchup, right? And who got decisioned? It was Jack Jenkins put it on Chanis. What'd you make of that one?
Yeah, I mean, he put it on him. I was actually more surprised with Chanis, man. Chanis came back, and what was nice is the UFC was giving into that little bit of narrative I was also writing on the sleepers, because Chanis did kind of come in with that chip in his shoulder, looked a lot better than I was expecting. It wasn't necessarily a smash spot. This is a pretty good fight. Not the best sleeper in terms of excitement and explosions and all that stuff, but a very good scrap nonetheless. Yeah,
a couple submission attempts for Chanis, but the takedowns were just a little bit too much on Jenkins' part. And that's kind of what I was saying. I was like, he's just, control him, bro. I said, like, this has the potential to be a dud sleeper just because he can simply just control his way out to a win. And why would you not do that? Like, just be smart. Just do what you're good at. You know what I'm saying? All right, brother. Loma, Luke Boone me against Elise Reed. I'm not going to lie. I thought this would be a purely striking match, tit for tat, right? But she submitted her with the rear naked choke in the second round. What'd you make?
Man, this was Loma Luke boom me, bro. She was throwing some heat, and I think that's what was able to get Elise Reed worried about other stuff for Loma to come out 44 seconds into the second round and put her in her RNC, man. It looked good.
And this is kind of like the theme, right, of the night, right? Loma Luke Bunmi probably banking on a knockout there, but she gets the submission because of her striking, right? Yair Rodriguez, he gets the submission because of his striking. Jack Della Maddalena gets the submission because of his striking. Very interesting theme, something you definitely got to take into consideration. Now, the only other fight that I want to mention really quickly that I'm going to mention it again because this is how powerful of a story it is. Modestas Bukauskas comes in, makes his return back to the UFC after getting his knee destroyed by Khalil Roundtree, right? Where not only were you out forever, but you had to get kicked out of the UFC, you had to go win a championship in a regional circuit, make your way back to the UFC, and then, oh yeah, by the way, your first fight back, yeah, Tyson Pedro, this guy who's just being it's a barn burner. Every fight that he's doing, man, he's just starching these guys. And he took him out to a decision, man. Surprising to see it at 205, but Bukauskas, overwhelmed him with a decision victory. And I'm going to pull it up really quickly just to see what the people are thinking. And it looks like, yeah, across the board, man, overwhelmingly 30-27 for Bukauskas, 29-28. There's two people that thought Pedro won the fight, but at the end of the day, very, very impressive. And this is the biggest part. And I don't like doing victory laps too often, AJ, but we both called it. He said, who are you leading? I like Pedro, but I think Bukauskas gets it done. And he got it done, brother. That's because we're not casuals and because we actually watch film. And what are we talking about here? What do you think?
Yeah, man, this was a good fight for Bukauskas to come back, and also a decent scrap for Pedro. I felt like he needed to pull the trigger a little more. He's a little off his game, if you will. But Bukauskas looked hungry. He stepped in there, ready to brawl. Bro looked like he was back in form. And credit to him, because after getting your knee collateral kicked, if anybody remembers that old school movie reference, this dude's shin basically touched the ground. So for you to come back after getting kicked out, winning the championship in Cage Warriors, and then coming back in the UFC and still going the full fight with a killer like Tyson Pedro, man, big credit to Bukauskas.
100%. All right, brother. And with that being said, that's your prelim pour-over right there. UFC 284 was indeed a success. Now, real quick, let's talk some rankings and get up out of here. Let's get it, brother. Today, I said it in the beginning of the show, we need to talk about the 170-pound division, one of the more open divisions that we have here, because we got a new player in the game. And this player is going to go by the name of Jack Della Maddalena. Now, the question here that I have, AJ, is what exactly, like when we're looking at this, right, we need to just have some consideration. Like, where are we going to put this guy, right? And the reason why I asked that is because at the end of the day, Jorge Masvidal, in my rankings, I got him at 15. He's right there on the edge. We might as well get him out of there depending on, how this next fight plays out. Michel Paeta, Li Jingliang, the Leech, Wonderboy Thompson, Neil Magny, Vicente Luque, Gilbert Burns. These are all not guys that you're just saying, hey, oh yeah, this new guy up here, he could just run through him. These would be very interesting matchups. So my question to you is, out of the people between number 10 and number 15, either from the consensus rankings or from your own rankings, who do you think would be the next person that Jack Della Maddalena has a legitimate shot of actually usurping?
I think the Chiesa pick, man. I think the Michael Chiesa would probably be a challenging, very difficult fight against another scrappy dude who is really, really good at jiu-jitsu, so you're going to have to show something else. But Maddalena has a striking too, which I think is a little bit more crisp, maybe more powerful than Chiesa, so I think he has that upper hand. It makes for an interesting term. Paeta is a really interesting one, man. Michel Paeta with the aggression and the quickness and the weird kind of style he has, but I still think Maddalena is a little more technical, a little too technical, can get it done. I like both of those as a fight for Jack. Like if we're gonna see, if we want Jack to win and to elevate his career, I like both of those fights for him. Now a harder one, man. I think Vicente Luque, a Li Jingliang, somebody a little bit more tested. Gonna give him a harder fight. Still a little in favor of Jack on both of those. I think Vicente can get a little bit more work done on that one, but right there is kind of where I'm seeing the magic zone, if you will, where we're going to see him get tested. We're going to see him put in a bad situation as well as persevere and show us what he's really made of, so then we can see who to pair him with next. What do you think about all of those, and do you have a better pick there?
I think it's interesting. I wouldn't say better, but I think that we were inverse in our thinking, right? Like, I thought a safer fight for Della Maddalena right now would probably be the Leech, Li Jingliang, right? We don't have to worry. Yeah, he has a little bit of wrestling, but we don't have to worry about him doing a nonstop grappling assault on Della Maddalena. He likes to throw big shots, kind of wing those shots in. Della Maddalena is a little more tight and technical, right? So those are the openings. Chiesa, Even though, yeah, I do think he has a good striking for sure, but his bread and butter is that wrestling, baby. Like grind city, take him down, ground and pound, or submit him. You know what I mean? Punch him in the face, take their back, choke him out. Shout out Rose Namajunas. So I think that a harder fight would probably be Chiesa in my eyes versus Maddalena because it's styles. Styles make the fights, right? So stylistically, do you want to feed him to the straight grappler? Because they haven't really done that. They did it for Emiv, right? But you have to give him a grappler who can also stand on the feet and really get it done on the feet. You know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely think that there is a spot for him in this 10 to 15 range. The question is who gets bumped out, you know what I mean? And if I had to take a guess on who gets bumped out from at least the UFC consensus rankings right now, has to be game-bred Jorge Masvidal, bro. But they're not going to because he's always going to be a draw. He'll always be a draw no matter where you go. Butts are going to be in seats. That's street Jesus right there, man. You know what I'm saying? So politics aside, interesting spot for the welterweight division right now. And with that being said, brother, listen, like I said, very successful program here today at the Bloody Water Podcast. Now, I do think that this is going to it's going to be a really interesting year, man, because it's already shaping up that the way that we're envisioning some of these fights playing out, man, sometimes we're right there on the money. Sometimes, man, the overwhelming noise from the outside, from the casual perspective bleeds in and gets our emotions we make some rash decisions emotionally as opposed to logically. We got to be rational here. So my question to round this thing out, man, now that we've had time to process this throughout this conversation, I know we headed off the show with it, but I want to end the show with it as well. If Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev fought 10 times, who would win more in those 10 times?
Ooh, that's a good thought experiment, Derek. 10 times, I think Makhachev would win 6 or 7. I think Volk could get him 3 or 4, but right there, that's kind of the sweet spot. What do you think?
I'm right there with you, but then again, my only criticism is that if this is a matter of all right, we're going to fight 10 times and then we're all both going to gain the experience of what we've learned over those 10 times, I think Volkanovski has a higher ceiling for improving than Makhachev does, if that makes sense, right? Either way, I think Makhachev gets it done more times in a 10-bout span than Volkanovski does, but let's just say massive respect to both of these guys, bro. Volkanovski literally did something that was phenomenal, hung in there with none of these other big killers, right? Look at Drew Dober, the massive chiseled model-esque Drew Dober, right? He got arm triangled, I think, with the quickness against Makhachev. Volkanovski, he never even got to that position. The worst thing that they had was, I think, was going to be a rear naked choke that wasn't even under the chin, right? So massive respect.
The neck crank.
Yeah, Makhachev is a bad man. Volk is a bad man. This is a bad program in the best way we could possibly say that. It's your favorite fighter's favorite fight show without the benefit or with a shadow of a doubt. I butchered that so bad. AJ, give the people some last words. Let's get out of here.
You already know, folks. Like Derek said, your favorite fighter's favorite fight show coming at you, bringing y'all some green every single week. Derek said it earlier, man. Perfect on my picks, even with the draw. But Alonzo Menifield was on his way to get it. I would have been 5-0, but sometimes you got to get humbled a little bit, man. But either way, we want y'all some green. So make sure you're hitting the links down below. You can see we already put them up. Go hit me on Twitch Monday through Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. this time. You'll see, get the notifications, hit the notification bell. Same thing on the subscribes on YouTube, man. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell so you know when the videos are going live. Hit us on Instagram. We're trying to get a little more active for you folks. Get y'all some green either way, man. It's going to be a fun weekend. This next one coming up. I'm excited to break everything down with you.
Oh, breaking news. Goddamn, AJ, I forgot to do it. Breaking news. Listen, brother, dude, I don't know how I blanked on this, and I apologize. And at this point, right, the amount of people who are seeing this message is probably not going to be the same if we would have headed it off on the show. Programming change for next week. Aaron Blanchfield is no longer slated to fight Tyler Santos, right? Something happened. We don't know what happened, but guess who steps in? Jessica Andrade, baby. Let's go. What did I say, man? I said Andrade. If there's going to be a player, she's not only game, but 2, this is probably going to be her easiest path to victory to get back to that title shot right here. Love me some Aaron Blanchfield. Definitely, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I was going to pick her to win against Tyler Santos. I believe in Aaron Blanchfield that much. You switch it to Jessica Andrade, we got a little bit of a different scenario on our hands. We're going to break it all down later, but give the people one impression before we hop out.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you posted this in the Discord, I don't know what to think, man. The little mini Mike Tyson coming back against the very technical Blanchfield. Going to be a good fight. I'm leaning a little bit toward Bate Azteca, but we'll see when the film breaks down.
We'll see if Blanchfield can crucifix Andrade the same way Shevchenko did and put her in that bad spot. But just the way she did to Molly McCann. Let's just say that. All right, brother. That's it for us, folks. We'll catch you on the flip side. Until next time. Hey.